Listen to me. There are two kinds of people in this world, the ones who scroll and the ones who build, the ones who watch and the ones who work. Comparison is the thief of your purpose. Not just a catchy phrase, not just a motivational line. It's a warning. It's a truth most people don't want to face, because deep down we all compare. We scroll through social media. We look at people our age or younger doing better, going further, looking happier. And somewhere along the way, we stop building our own life and start silently measuring it against someone else's highlight reel. But here's the problem. Comparison is a distraction disguised as motivation. It doesn't make you better. It doesn't fuel your fire. It slows you down, eats at your confidence, and kills your creativity. Because when you start to compare, you start to doubt. And when doubt creeps in, purpose walks out. You were born with a set of skills, with a unique journey, with your own time and in your own set of storms and victories. But the moment you start measuring your pace against someone else's race, you stop honoring the road you're meant to walk. You forget that your lane was designed specifically for you. What they have, be it success, beauty, fame, money, applause, was never meant to be your blueprint. And yet you're sitting there scrolling, wishing, comparing, hating your own progress because it doesn't look like theirs. Let me tell you something real. Comparison doesn't just distract, it distorts. It takes your view of reality and bends it. It makes you think you're behind when in truth, you're just in process. It makes you feel small when actually you're just early in your journey. It makes you believe you're not good enough when in fact, you've barely even tapped into what you're capable of. But most dangerously, comparison robs you of energy. Every ounce of mental power you spend wondering how someone else got ahead is energy stolen from your purpose. Instead of using that energy to improve your discipline, sharpen your skills, build your mindset, and create momentum, you waste it watching someone else live. And don't think this only happens to people on the rise. No, even the most talented, even the most successful people fall into this trap. That's how deep it is. That's how deadly it is. Comparison doesn't care if you're at the bottom or the top. It only cares if it can shake your focus. Because once you're distracted, once you're in your head, once you're doubting yourself, you're no longer dangerous. You're no longer effective. You're just existing. You've got to protect your purpose like it's sacred, because it is. You've got to guard your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. And the number one threat to both, comparison. You need to understand this. You were not built to be a copy. You were not born to blend in. You were not put here to chase after someone else's version of success. You've got a calling, and comparison is the very thing that keeps you from hearing it. You've got a mission, and the more you obsess over their mission, the further you drift from yours. You want to feel powerful? You want to feel alive? You want to know what it's like to actually move with purpose? Then stop looking over the fence. Stop watching, stop comparing. Lock in. Focus on your gifts. Build your mindset. Show up for you. When your head is down and your heart is locked on your vision, nothing can shake you. But when your eyes are sideways, looking at them instead of ahead, you lose speed, you lose power, you lose time. And time is the one thing you don't get back. You're not in competition with anyone but your yesterday. That's the truth. That's the mindset that separates the ones who grow from the ones who just go in circles. But it's not easy to believe, is it? Because every single day, the world is trying to tell you otherwise. The world tells you to look left, look right, measure yourself against everyone else, how fast they're moving, how successful they look, how many followers they've got, how many trophies they've won. And if you buy into that noise, you start to think you're behind. You start to believe you're not enough. But let's get something clear. You weren't put on this planet to outshine someone else. You were put here to outgrow yourself, to outwork yourself, to outperform the person you were yesterday. That's the only real race. That's the only real scoreboard. Every other comparison is a distraction. When you focus on competing with others, you chase surface level wins. You make decisions to impress instead of improve. You say things just to look good instead of being real. You move fast, but you move without depth. But when your only goal is to be better than you were yesterday, that's when the real transformation happens. Because now you're not chasing noise, you're chasing purpose. Now you're not moving for applause, you're moving for growth. Think about it. Yesterday, maybe you slacked off. Maybe you gave 60% effort. Maybe you broke a promise you made to yourself. Cool, that's yesterday. But today's a new fight. Today you show up to beat that version of you. Not by being perfect, not by suddenly becoming someone else, but by doing just one thing better. One more rep, one more hour of discipline, one more uncomfortable decision that moves you closer to your goals. It's about progress, not perfection. Every day, a small win stacked on top of another. That's how empires are built. That's how champions are made. And yeah, maybe someone else is ahead of you. Maybe someone else already has what you want. That doesn't matter because you don't know their journey. You don't know the price they pay. You don't know what they're dealing with behind the scenes. So why compare yourself to a story you don't fully understand? This is about you. This is about putting your blinders on and asking, am I more focused than I was yesterday? Am I more disciplined, more driven, more aware? If the answer is yes, even just a little bit, then you're winning. That's momentum. That's evolution. But the second you start looking at someone else's timeline, someone else's grind, someone else's pace, you give your power away. You lose focus, and you start setting your goals based on their path instead of your purpose. That's how people get lost. That's how dreams get delayed. Not because they didn't have talent, but because they spent too much time competing in a race they were never meant to run. You got one opponent, and it's not out there. It's not your friend. It's not your coworker. It's not that stranger on the internet. It's you, the version of you who doubts, the version who hesitates, the version who makes excuses, hits snooze, breaks promises, plays small. That's the one you gotta be every single day. This mindset, it's not just motivational fluff, it's survival. Because when life hits you, when things get tough, when no one's watching, it's not the crowd that'll carry you, it's your discipline. It's the standard you built. And that standard comes from competing with yourself, holding yourself accountable, and demanding more from the person in the mirror than you did yesterday. You want growth? You want greatness? Then stop looking around. Look within. Outwork your yesterday and let that be the fire that pushes you forward. Their lane ain't your lane. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you free yourself from the pressure of trying to live someone else's life. You weren't built to follow their map, walk their path, or copy their rhythm. You were built for your own. That means your journey, your timing, your challenges, your wins, they're custom made for you. But we forget that. We get caught up watching other people's progress, other people's success, other people's pace. And then we start thinking we're behind, that something's wrong with us, that we missed the mark. No, you didn't miss anything. You're just not supposed to be in their lane. The problem is too many people are driving through life while looking into someone else's window, comparing destinations, comparing dashboards. But you can't see clearly when you're not focused on your own road. You can't make moves when you're too busy wondering how someone else made theirs. And you sure can't reach your full potential when your energy is spent imitating instead of creating. You've got to understand, every lane comes with its own traffic, its own speed limits, its own storms, its own scenery. Just because their ride looks smooth doesn't mean it's right for you. Just because they got there fast doesn't mean you're late. You don't know what shortcuts they took. You don't know what they sacrificed. You don't know what price they paid. Stop assuming their destination is even meant for you. There's power in staying in your lane. When you know your lane, you move with clarity. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You start grinding with purpose. You start trusting your pace. And that's when real growth happens. Not because you're keeping up with someone else, but because you're keeping up with your calling. The truth is, some people are built for sprinting. Others are built for marathon. Some take off fast and burn out early. Others start slow and finish strong. You got to know what kind of runner you are. You got to respect your rhythm. Because trying to match someone else's speed when it doesn't align with your process, that's how people break down. That's how people lose themselves. That's how people crash. You want peace, you want progress, then stay in your lane. Own your process. Celebrate your pace. Trust your path, even when it doesn't look like theirs. Even when people don't understand it. Even when it feels slower or harder or lonelier. That's part of it. That's the price of walking in your purpose. And let's be real, some of you are frustrated right now, not because you're not capable, but because you keep switching lanes. You keep doubting yourself every time you see someone else winning. You keep abandoning your plan because theirs looks prettier. Stop doing that. Stability comes from commitment. Breakthrough comes from focus. And focus comes from staying locked in on what's yours. So take your eyes off their path and put them back on your purpose. Their lane was never meant to carry your vision. Their path doesn't have your lessons. Their success doesn't cancel out yours. What's for them is for them. But what's for you? That's still waiting on the other side of your discipline, your consistency, your faith. You don't need to rush. You don't need to copy. You just need to stay locked in. Because when you stop swerving into other lanes, you finally start moving like the person you were born to be. Not a clone, not a follower, but a creator, a force, a one of one. Their lane ain't your lane. And that's exactly why yours is powerful. Your journey needs your full attention. Not half, not a distracted glance, not the energy left over after you've spent the day focused on everyone else. It needs all of you, your mind, your focus, your discipline, your time. And until you give it that, you'll always feel stuck, scattered, frustrated, like you're moving but not getting anywhere. And that's because you are moving, but you're not locked in. You're giving your journey leftovers. You're giving it pieces of your energy while the rest is tangled up in distractions, comparison, and noise. You can't build anything great with divided focus. You can't grow into your full potential while watching somebody else's story. You got a story of your own to write. You got a purpose that won't unfold itself. And if you don't pay attention to it, you'll miss the signs, the lessons, the breakthroughs that were meant for you and no one else. Your life is happening right now, not next week, not when you feel ready, not when the timing feels perfect. It's unfolding today. The question is, are you present enough to live it, or are you too distracted trying to live someone else's? Every time you let yourself get pulled into what they're doing, what they have, where they are, you're pulling yourself out of alignment. Your goals start getting foggy. Your passion starts fading. You stop asking yourself, what do I need to do today to grow? And you start asking, why don't I have what they have? That's not focus, that's a trap. That's how you lose time, that's how you lose belief. That's how you start drifting instead of driving. Your journey is personal. It's filled with unique challenges and one-of-a-kind opportunities. But to even recognize those opportunities, you need to be locked in. You need to be listening. You need to be looking forward, not sideways. Growth doesn't just happen, it responds to intention. And intention demands attention. You can't be casual with your calling. You can't keep treating your purpose like a part-time job and expect full-time results. Let me be real with you. There are no shortcuts. No one's gonna hand you a map that says start here, skip this, arrive here. No. You have to pay attention to the process, to the wins and the losses, to the small steps that no one else sees. Because those steps, that's where the magic is. That's where you develop the discipline, the resilience, the character that it takes to go the distance. But if your head's somewhere else, if your attention is on distractions, validation, or what's trending, you miss all of that. You miss the very thing that could have taken you to the next level. There's a cost to not being present. There's a cost to drifting through life on autopilot, waking up each day but not really showing up. And that cost is your potential. That cost is your purpose, slipping through your fingers because you were too busy trying to multitask your dreams. But your dreams aren't side projects. They are the project. They deserve your best. So it's time to eliminate the noise. It's time to stop scrolling through other people's journeys like a tourist and start showing up for your own like an owner. Give it your focus. Give it your fight. Give it your full attention. Because the life you want, the person you want to become, they're not out there somewhere waiting. They're right here, inside the work you keep skipping, inside the moments you keep overlooking. Your future is already calling, but it won't compete with your distractions. It's waiting for you to lock in. Haters and doubters are distractions, not directions. Let that sink in. Their words aren't road signs. Their opinions aren't GPS coordinates. Just because they're loud doesn't mean they're right. Just because they've got something to say doesn't mean it deserves space in your head. See, some of you are stuck, not because you don't have the skill, not because you lack the drive, but because you've given too much power to people who don't even matter. Haters don't know your full story. They don't see your late nights. They don't feel the weight you carry. Doubters don't know your vision. They don't know what drives you when no one's clapping. They haven't walked in your shoes for a single second, and yet you're letting their voice drown out your own? That's a problem, because you cannot let small minds direct your big mission. You got goals, dreams, a purpose that's bigger than their opinions. But every time you stop to answer a hater, you pause your progress. Every time you let a doubter get in your head, you slow your momentum. And momentum is everything. It's the difference between quitting and pushing forward. It's the difference between almost making it and actually finishing the race. You can't afford to lose momentum over people who wouldn't last a day doing what you're trying to do. Let's be honest, haters hate because it's easier than doing the work. It's easier to criticize than to create. It's easier to doubt someone else's dream than to build their own. Doubters live in fear, so when they see you moving, when they see you trying, when they see you chasing something bold, it threatens them. Your grind reminds them of their excuses. Your progress exposes their procrastination. And instead of rising with you, they try to pull you down. But here's the thing. You don't have to respond. You don't have to prove anything to anyone who's not in the arena with you. If they're not helping you build, they don't get a vote. If they weren't there for the struggle, they don't get to speak on the success. Let them talk. Let them doubt. While they're wasting time with opinions, you're building results. While they're spreading noise, you're stacking wins. That's how you respond, with action, not arguments. You gotta be so focused, so locked in, that you don't even hear the doubt anymore. Not because it's not there, but because your vision is louder. Your purpose is louder. Your mission drowns out the nonsense. That's what it means to be mentally tough. It's not about pretending that hate doesn't exist. It's about refusing to let it guide you. You got dreams that require your full attention. You got work to do that can't be done if your energy is tied up reacting to negativity. That's what haters want. They want a reaction. They want you to slow down. They want to see you stumble, not because they hate you personally, but because they hate what you represent. Movement, growth, courage. You're proof that it's possible, and that bothers them. So protect your focus like it's gold, because it is. Protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Every second spent on drama is a second stolen from your destiny. Stay in your lane. Stay on your grind. Let your silence make noise. Let your success make the statement. Because the truth is, no one ever built something meaningful by listening to people who said it couldn't be done. Let them doubt. Let them hate. You've got work to do. Self-mastery. Be social validation every time. It's not even close, because social validation, that's temporary. It's a hit of dopamine, a quick rush, a few seconds of applause that fades the moment the crowd moves on. But self-mastery, that's power, that's discipline, that's walking into a room without needing to be seen, because you already know who you are. That's showing up for your goals, whether anyone's watching or not. That's inner peace that doesn't crumble when the likes stop or the compliments dry up. The world will try to convince you that being seen is the same as being successful, that attention equals value. But don't fall for that lie. Attention fades, trends change, opinions flip. One day they love you, the next day they forget you. But if your confidence is rooted in the noise of the crowd, you're always going to feel empty when the room goes silent. Self-mastery means learning to validate yourself. Not because you're arrogant, but because you put in the work. Because you built the habits, faced the pain, silenced the excuses, and chosen growth over comfort. That's the kind of validation that doesn't fade when people stop clapping. That's the kind that lasts even when nobody's looking. Think about it. When you chase social validation, your actions are based on reactions. You post for attention. You perform for approval. You do things not because they're right for you, but because you think they'll earn applause. But when you live like that, you're not free. You're trapped in a cycle of trying to be liked instead of trying to be better. You end up wearing masks, playing roles, chasing applause that doesn't feed your soul. But self-mastery, that's freedom. It's knowing your worth before anyone else confirms it. It's having the discipline to wake up early, train hard, study more, stay focused, not because it looks good on camera, but because it aligns with your vision. Self-mastery isn't sexy. It's not flashy. It's quiet, relentless, and uncomfortable. It's the reps you do in silence. It's the sacrifices no one sees. It's the small decisions that no one will ever applaud. But they're the ones that shape your future. Here's the truth. The people who make real impact in this world aren't the ones who live for likes. They're the ones who live for purpose. The ones who are too busy building to beg for attention. The ones who choose growth over popularity, consistency over applause, character over clout. Because at the end of the day, social validation can make you feel good for a moment, but self-mastery will carry you for life. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about being invisible or avoiding community. It's about not needing approval to move. It's about having such a strong internal compass that you don't lose direction every time someone doubts you, misunderstands you, or ignores you. When you master yourself, your habits, your mindset, your discipline, nobody can take that from you. Not a hater, not a critic, not even failure itself. Self-mastery is the foundation of real confidence. And confidence built on self-awareness and discipline can't be shaken, because it's not about who likes you, it's about who you're becoming. It's not about impressing people, it's about progressing daily. And the more you master yourself, the less you crave approval from people who aren't even qualified to judge your journey. So yeah, the likes might not come, the applause might not be loud, but the results, the peace, the power, that's yours forever. Because when you got self-mastery, you don't need validation. You are the evidence